各位觀眾大家好，歡迎收睇26分鐘見證實錄。全球各地為咗抗擊新冠肺炎疫情而採取唔同程度嘅封鎖隔離措施，各項嘅體育賽事同埋公眾活動咧都先後延期或者係取消。而原本喺今年夏季舉行嘅2020年東京奧運會咧，就喺今年較早之前宣告將會延期1年舉辦。而呢一次亦都係現代奧運會124年歷史上面首次出現非戰爭因素而導致唔能夠如期舉辦嘅情況。呢一個體育盛事嘅延期舉辦，除咗帶嚟不可避免嘅經濟損失之外對於好多備戰多年嘅奧運選手嚟講，亦係一個唔細嘅打擊㗎。唔係居家隔離期間，好多嘅運動員因為受到場地嘅限制而難以進行正常嘅訓練。而隨住比賽延期，就更加需要制定新嘅訓練計劃，迎戰2021年嘅奧運。佢哋而家嘅心情又係點呢？奧運延期對於佢哋嘅影響又有幾大呢？未來又有住點樣嘅目標呢？今年3月23號，加拿大宣布，即使2020東京奧運如期舉行，亦都將唔會派隊參加。3月30號，國際奧委會、東京奧組委以及日本政府就聯合宣布，東京奧運將會延期1年舉行。消息一出，令到部分備戰奧運嘅運動員不免感到沮喪。
Everybody was just sitting down, quiet. So it was an interesting moment that I'll never forget.
有少少失望啦，因為奧運會係每一個運動員嘅夢想。我有啲怕啦，有啲可怕，可能即係會取消個奧運，但係後來冇取消咯，即係就 delay 翻1年咯。
不過佢哋都非常理解延期嘅決定，而多出1年嘅備戰時間，就令佢哋對於明年比賽有咗更高嘅期待。
Because I'm very young to the sport, and I feel like there's a lot of stuff I had to learn. So now this definitely does give me an opportunity to prepare and come back next year and work on the things that I feel like I need to work on, which is mentally and stuff like that.
But having an additional year, especially after having made a comeback late in the game, allows me a whole another year of training, getting fitter, getting used to windsurfing again.
Next year, I think with enough preparation, I think I can go for the gold.
Like earlier in the day, my friend Ben was saying like the Olympics might get postponed. I was like, nah, it's the Olympics. They're not going to postpone the Olympics. Like, come on, like this thing's been going on for years. It's gone through World War, so I mean, it's not going to get canceled. So then when they postponed the Olympic Games, I was out getting groceries and I totally forgot everything.
25歲嘅 Jerome Blake 係卑詩省一名短跑運動員，曾經代表本省參加2017年加拿大夏季運動會，獲得100米以及200米嘅短跑金牌。喺2018以及19年加拿大田徑錦標賽就分別獲得200米嘅銀牌以及銅牌。佢同時亦都係卑詩200米短跑嘅紀錄保持者。而原定喺今年夏季舉行嘅2020東京奧運，原本係 Jerome 首次出戰奧運嘅機會。
Yes, it would have been my first time, qualifying or going to the Olympic Games because in 2016 I was a little young and I wasn't ready at the time to really come up and race against some of the fastest guys. So now I really felt like I had the potential to make the teams and race against some of the fastest guys in the world at the Olympic Games. But unfortunately, those games are postponed.
而因應當局較早之前嘅居家隔離要求，佢嘅日常訓練亦不得不暫停。
Things definitely got a little messed up in a way where we couldn't really, train anymore, and things were canceled and everything. So we were basically stopped and on pause. Like we felt like our schedules were gone. Like we didn't really know what to do because as athletes, the only thing is train and compete, and then come back and do the same thing again. So we stopped training for about 2 months before we were allowed to come back out and start training again because of the coronavirus. So we weren't allowed to do much. So we're on the lockdown as everybody else. We had to stay home. So a lot of us were just doing workouts in our house. So it was a little different, from what we're normally used to.
再次恢復訓練，亦都面臨挑戰。
We're really unfit. It's not the same. Some of the runs that you could normally really easy do, you're halfway through, you're so tired throughout the workouts. You're like, we're out there on your back, breathing heavy, and you're really tired. So now it's just like try to get your fitness back and then prepare just to, prepare for next year already, even though it's not the new year yet, but we already start preparations for next year.
對於奧運嘅推遲 ，Jerome 話一開始的確係感到沮喪。
Athletes are very biased in a way where they don't think nothing can hurt them, and that's the way athletes are. Like if you ask any professional athlete, they're going to tell you the same thing. Like I'm not scared of this, I'm not scared of that, but at the same time, you really gotta, understand that there's people actually losing their lives. So you gotta, understand that like there's other people in the world too, not just you, and you gotta be one of those persons you look out for everybody else instead of yourself sometimes.
不過而家多咗一年嘅訓練準備時間，令佢對於明年嘅比賽更加有信心。
Because I'm very young to the sport, and I feel like there's a lot of stuff I had to learn. So now this definitely does give me an opportunity to prepare and come back next year and work on the things that I feel like I need to work on, which is mentally and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things you can work on, and there's a lot of positive things to take away from this. Not having sports and stuff like that. Most people, they felt really down and didn't know what to do. So now it's just like, this is an opportunity for you to learn and understand that hey, like it can be taken away from you in an instant. So it's just it's good to work on the mental piece as well as the physical piece.
而目前除咗日常嘅訓練之外，佢亦都開始咗一項為兒童提供運動指導嘅項目。
Up as an athlete that not really know how to navigate your way through sports, and having a mentor really helped me. So I feel like giving back to younger athletes coming up is one of those things I'm super passionate about.
Jerome 嘅教練 Tara 話：喺啱啱得知奧運延期嘅消息嘅時候，佢曾經安慰 Jerome。I
remember telling him, because he called me, and I remember telling him, it's okay, it's not just you, it's everybody. It's a little more disappointing, I think, when it's, say, injury-related and you miss something because you've been injured and everyone else gets to go. This year, nobody got to go. Everybody was pushed back a year, and so from a mental point of view, it's easier to justify that and say, yeah, it would be nice to go this year, but you didn't miss it. It just didn't happen, right? So it was more about just getting him to understand that everybody is in the same position. It's not just him. We knew there wasn't going to be any significant competition this year, so there was no rush. So right now, really what we're doing is just working on a few small things and then get ready for next year. Our goal is to be ready to perform when needed next year.
不過對於明年奧運 ，Tara 就認為獎牌並唔係唯一嘅目標以及收穫。
And if that gets him through 1 or 2 rounds of a competition, then you've done exactly what we want him to do. If he made a final, if he medaled, that's gravy, as we say. That's the best possible outcome. But if he went there and he performed well and he left there with really good experience and a good performance, I'd be happy with that.
So it's very, very physical all of the time. Before the Olympics were actually postponed, Canada said, we're not going to send its athletes. So I found that out through the news, and I was like, oh, okay. So then it was like, I guess that's it. And sure enough, a few days later, the Olympics were postponed. So totally the right choice, the right call, but with that also came emotion.
42歲嘅 Nicola Gurkey 係一名參加過4屆奧運嘅帆船以及帆船板路障，喺參加完2016年里約奧運會之後就宣布退役，不過喺去年就決定再次回歸。
So I actually started training December 1st for the 2020 Olympics. So a little behind, but I worked really hard to catch up and made some big gains and qualified the country. And so Canada is now qualified for Tokyo in women's windsurfing. Canada was qualified in January, then at our World Championships in February. That was the first qualifier of 2. So I came top Canadian, and so I was leading the trials going into the second event that was then canceled. So it's a funny spot to be in because you just want to get it done and over with, but at the same time, now it gives me more time to, make my comeback even better and stronger, and I feel very confident in my abilities to qualify.
Nicola 非常理解奧運延期嘅呢個決定，而喺居家隔離期間，佢更多嘅係進行陸地運動，以保持良好體能。
Absolutely. I mean, when it started mid-March, it was, you weren't allowed to or shouldn't go out and do anything. And I mean, I took up running much more than before. I built like workout circuits at home. I changed the way I trained, and definitely it was more on land than on the water.
多一年嘅訓練時間令佢更加有信心迎戰明年奧運。
There is a certain nervousness and preparedness that you have to do to get there, but having an additional year, especially after having made a comeback late in the game, allows me a whole nother year of training, you know, getting fitter, getting used to windsurfing again, or, I mean, I'm used to it, but refining all my techniques, gaining the strength that I need for this specifically, you know, getting my tactics and strategy up to par again. And obviously this year, it's very important to find good equipment, and you have to go through quite a lot of equipment to find stuff that works. So that, I have longer time to do that, and to find some good training partners to train with, just really get back into it.
不過今次疫情的確係為佢帶嚟咗好多嘅挑戰。
Everything delayed for a year, and with no competitions coming up, the motivation to keep pushing hard is much tougher. It's a tough time financially for everyone, I would say. Certain businesses, obviously, not so much, but most businesses have suffered. And so when you're an athlete that relies on fundraising and sponsorship dollars from companies, it's not an easy thing to ask for support for your sport when people don't have money for their families and what's going on. And that's why I'm also working really, really hard now, trying to put in a lot of hours so that I can fund as much as I can, which is never enough, but yeah.
但同時亦都令佢有咗新嘅目標。
So I would say it probably moves up top 12, top 10. So, and by all means, I don't know the level of all the other girls. So who knows? But I know that I have gotten there consistently before. So if I can manage to get back up there based on experience, then that's my goal. Normally, I would travel to train with training partners. So until travel is free again or open and safe, I'll be staying here at home. And our first competition next year is supposed to be in Miami. So we'll see how that happens. So, you know, lots of question marks still, but, you know, kind of keep working towards your goals and step by step by step.
下一節翻嚟，我哋將會繼續同備戰奧運嘅運動員傾一傾佢哋因為疫情而面臨嘅挑戰，以及對於接落嚟將要參與嘅其他賽事以及明年奧運嘅期待。歡迎翻返嚟節目時間。無論係初戰奧運嘅新人，定係久經沙場嘅老將，對於今次東京奧運嘅延期咧，都表示理解同埋支持。咁即使比賽延期，的確係令人沮喪，咁但係亦都因為咁而獲得咗更多嘅訓練備戰時間，對於明年嘅賽事嘅結果有咗更高嘅目標同埋期望。
But you know, I'm trying, like, still considering the circumstances, can we make a? I don't want to say depressing, but it was really quiet. Normally the swimmers are up, moving around, getting warmed up and activated to get ready to train, and everybody was just sitting down, quiet. So it was an interesting moment that I'll never forget.
36歲嘅卑詩省游泳健將 Brent Hayden 曾經代表加拿大參加3屆奧運會，並且喺2012年倫敦奧運會獲得100米自由式嘅銅牌。不過喺賽後就因為長期病痛困擾而宣布退役。事隔7年之後，佢喺去年宣布正式回歸備戰奧運。不過因為疫情原因，本國嘅奧運游泳選拔賽並未如期舉行。
We were getting ready to actually leave for our training camp to get ready for the Olympic trials when we got the news that the Olympic trials had been postponed. So that was pretty shocking. But just 1 week, or it might have been 2 weeks right before that, I was in Des Moines at the Tier Pro Swim Series, and I swam under the Olympic qualifying time there. My expectation was to make the team and go to Tokyo and swim as fast as I could and see what happens. I think that's when, with that mentality, that's always been when I've performed at my best, when I've just kind of focused not on the potential results, but just on my own personal performances. You know, just being able to get up on the blocks again at Tokyo at the age of 36 after 7 years away, that is already going to be a success. So as long as I can get there and just do the performance that I know I can do, I'm going to accept whatever results come.
而疫情期間去泳池訓練就需要遵守嚴格嘅規定。
We have to check in before we leave home, saying, you know, if we have ever experiencing any symptoms or not. We have to print our workouts at home because our coach isn't allowed to hand us our workouts here. We have to put our suits on at home as well. So I'm wearing my swimsuit for that whole drive from New West out here, and then it's one swimmer per lane, and we're not allowed to do any activation before you get in the water. It's just walk in, put your bag down, you know, get down to your suit, go into the shower, and then dive in and leave. Like there's very little interaction that we're allowed to do.
即使奧運延期嘅消息令到 Brent 感到震驚，但佢非常理解主辦方嘅決定。
In the end, you know, I think we realize that, you know, sport is still just sport, right? There's so many more important things going on in the world. Like, you know, people are dying. So, you know, if it just means that we just have to move our goals one more year, so that way we can actually get the world back on track and, you know, make the world a safe and healthy place again, you know, then that's what we're going to do. It's the smallest of sacrifices we can make.
而多一年嘅訓練準備時間，令佢對於明年嘅奧運比賽更加有把握。
Even though I was on pace to do great things, I think at the Olympics, this extra year I'm getting is it's giving me that time that I already didn't have, right? So I'm seeing this as an opportunity to, if I got that fast, you know, after only 6 months, I'm just excited about what I can potentially do with a whole extra year to get ready. I feel like as long as my body is still going well and we keep figuring out, you know, adjusting my training according to my age, because that's been something that we've like been experimenting with, and I don't know. I would need a reason to retire that didn't involve just running out of patience.
We're there, as it is in the whole world,
but
right?
Everyone's okay.
Yeah, everyone's safe. Everyone's safe.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's right. And then hearing about this, obviously, it was sad. But I took it as another route. Like I know I'm young. I'm 24 years old, and I'm not planning on retiring anytime soon. So I'm in it for the long haul.
喺素里出生同埋長大嘅摔跤選手阿媽 Daisy 5歲開始練習摔跤，咁從青少年起就參加比賽，而東京奧運將會係佢第一次出戰奧運。
So after that, I graduated and I went to Oregon State University, where I got a full-ride scholarship to wrestle for, and I was a 3-time All-American there, which is a top 8 ranking spot every time in the nationals in America NCAAs. After that, I went on and did my Olympic career, which I'm pursuing right now in international wrestling. I've won the Junior World Championships back in 2014. The Olympic trials, Canadian Olympic trials, were held in December in Niagara Falls. So I had 4 matches there. After winning that tournament, I qualified to represent Canada at the qualifiers, and that was in March, where I wrestled. I wrestled in March. I had 3 matches there to qualify my weight class for the Olympic Games.
受疫情影響，佢目前冇辦法返到去位於美國嘅體育會進行訓練。不過佢嘅朋友就為佢提供咗臨時嘅訓練場地。
I had a whole schedule planned out with my coaches in Ohio, where I train at Ohio State, and we have our clubs there, so that's what part I'm with. And yeah, we had a whole regimen going on where I was going to be traveling from this month to this month to this month, international travels. And then obviously everything got canceled with that. There were so many challenges looking forward to the pandemic, just because, as you said, everything was shut down. There was no gyms open, there was no facilities, nothing was going on. Everything was on pause. And I understood that because the whole world was on pause. It just wasn't us. So I understood that. And yeah, I took weeks, months off wrestling, off the mat. I didn't wrestle on the mat for a whole month probably, which is the longest maybe my whole life I've ever been off the mat. So it was a challenge. But I kept my runs, and I was fortunate enough that my community came together and they gave me a place to train and like this, and I had weights available to me, so I'm thankful for the people around me.
阿媽話：一開始佢非常之希望奧運唔好延期，因為呢一次係自己第一次參加，並且投入咗好多嘅準備同埋努力。但係後來就改變咗諗法。
I was listening to something just a couple of days ago, and I was hearing the effects of other people, like how other people were, their family members were dying, and there was so much job loss in the economy, and everything was happening that it put into perspective that this is just a sport, and there's so much more to life. But yeah, like you said, like I said before, I'm still young, and I think a year for me would be a huge benefit going into the Olympic Games just because knowing I'm already qualified the weight, I have nothing to do besides go out there and compete. Yeah, this year I was expecting to medal. Just in the few months, I hope for a medal for sure, type of thing. Next year, I think with enough preparation, I think I can go for the gold. So obviously that's what I'm hoping for, and a year just gets me ready.
其實除非乒乓球咧，我好中意唱歌㗎，所以疫情嗰陣時，我每日都唱歌2至3個鐘嘅，好中意嘅，全部廣東歌啊、國語歌啊都識㗎。
位於安省嘅20歲乒乓球運動員夏仲文 Jeremy 曾經獲得2次全國冠軍，原本今次係佢首次代表加拿大出戰東京奧運。
我9歲開始學乒乓波。我哋3月加拿大國家隊有嘅選拔比賽，咁我喺嗰個選拔比賽選上男單打。因為應該是我第一次參加奧運咧，我冇咩要求。我希望第一場我先可以打得好啦。咁如果贏第一場咧，可以打第2場咯，即係慢慢嚟咯，一分一分嚟咯。因為呢個係我第一次，我未打過咁大個比賽，同埋觀眾都會好多㗎，所以有啲緊張，所以最好嘅。打我最好就得㗎。
喺安省要求居家隔離期間 ，Jeremy 就只係能夠喺家中練習。
其實我5月開始訓練啦，啲球館就開啦喺多倫多。但係2個月喺屋企咧，我每日就做啲身體訓練啦。其實我嘅 basement 有個台啊，個位唔係咁大，但係其實我可以練下少少咯。
而奧運延期嘅消息就令佢感到失望。
有少少失望啦，因為奧運會係每個運動員嘅夢想。我有啲怕啦，有啲可怕，可能即係會取消個奧運，但係後來冇取消咯，即係就 delay 翻1年咯。但係都係每個人嘅夢想嘅，所以我希望下年都會有機會參加奧運會。
但係佢好快就振作起嚟。
其實奧運遲咗1年啦，係對我幾好嘅，因為咧，如果今年有個奧運會啦，我就會2至3個月時間可以訓練。但係而家咧，即係疫情差唔多結束啦，我哋翻去訓練啦，仲有10幾個月去訓練，即係9個月啊、10個月或者11個月啊。所以我而家20歲，我就大1年，我就水平可能會高少少，因為我每年都會進步嘅。
不過原本喺奧運之後要進行嘅計劃就受到影響啦。
我就高中結束嗰陣時，我就冇翻大學，因為我想追究我嘅奧運會嘅夢想。咁而家我夢想變成真啦，佢可以參加呢個奧運啦。但係我本來就今年想去大學，因為我已經遲3年啦。其實我啲同學已經開始大學啦，但係因為而家疫情咧，就搬咗下年啦奧運會，可能下年9月都會開始上大學。我本來今年咧就有時我會去中國訓練，因為佢水平係好高嘅。有時我都會去歐洲練啊，或者德國啊，因為德國嘅水平都幾好㗎。但係今年冇機會啦，所以我而家同個教練每日喺球館練啦。因為我哋喺加拿大啲對手唔夠同埋個水平唔夠高啊，即係同其他地方都冇夠相比啊。所以咧，希望幾個月過啦，疫情好啲咧，我可以去翻第啲地方去練啦。
喺加拿大 ，Jeremy 每一日平均訓練4至5個鐘頭。但係去到其他國家訓練就會去到6至7個鐘頭。Jeremy 話：有咗更充分嘅準備時間，現時佢對於明年嘅奧運抱有更大嘅期望。
我打咗11年啦，我爹哋媽咪幫我即係俾錢所有我啲嘢啊，即係揾教練都要俾錢嘅，去打比賽都要俾錢嘅。其實有政府都會幫我嘅，但係大概係佢哋栽培我嘅，所以真係好幸運。 我希望第一場可以贏到咧，咁我希望第二場可以慢慢嚟咯。如果今年奧運會咧，我可能第一場有啲下風少少咯，但係因為奧運會係下年打啦，我可能即係機會去贏第一場大好多㗎，所以我希望我可以做到。
好啦，今集嘅節目時間又夠啦。咁有觀眾對我哋嘅節目有啲乜嘢意見嘅話，係好歡迎大家電郵俾我哋㗎。咁如果想重溫翻今集嘅節目，亦都可以上到去我哋嘅網站，點擊節目重溫一覽。好啦，下星期同樣時間再同大家見面，晚安。